So, what's better, a will or a trust? Everything business owners and affluent retirees need to know about estate planning, right? My name is Randolph Love III. Y'all probably already know. And I know a lot of y'all like, what do y'all do? I'm kind of like, the Willy Wonka guy, right? You don't really know what I do, but, I just throw these, have these good events, feed everybody, let everybody learn, everybody network. It's because what I do requires a lot of trust, pun intended. I have to show you that, I can help you do whatever you're trying to do. And that a lot of times gives people trust enough to let me help them with what I really do. Right. So I'm going to just explain this and break it down. I'm a story guy, right? Data tells and stories sell. So I like to put things in metaphor in order for it to stick. I want to introduce y'all to my friend, Farmer Jed. He's a business owner just like y'all. He's one of the, he farms, he helps industries. He's a member of the Northeast Florida Builders Association, right? He just one of those people who he decided what he wanted to do and he made it happen. He decided what he wanted to do and he made it happen. And throughout his life, he amassed a fortune. Look at his grand estate. You got the pool house. You got the main house. You got the maize bushes. You got too much money when you start doing manicures to your vegetation. When you got life-size vegetation where people can get lost in, you got too much money, right? Or maybe you don't got enough yet, right? Jed only has one daughter. His daughter is Ellie Mae, right? And even though Jed knows that Ellie Mae, she's a competent woman, he raised her. Like, she was out there in the field with him. She was cultivating the relationships with him. He knows that she can manage this estate by herself, but he would prefer before he go to align her with another person, a man that can marry each other and they can manage the money together. So what Jed did, he's a smart man. So he sent out a mailer to all of the eligible bachelors in the small town that they live in. All right? He invited them to his house. They ate his food. They drank his drink, right? They had a good time, right? Then finally, Jed took them to the backyard and said, here's why I really invited y'all here. I have a contest. And if one of you can jump into this pool on one end and swim to the nets, you'll win one of three things. He says, 1, you can win $1 million. Or 2, you can win my estate, that luscious estate with the maize vegetation, with the pool house. You can win that. Or 3, you get my daughter's hand in marriage. And keep in mind, if you get my daughter's hand in marriage, you get all of it. Right? So they looking and he said, now this isn't no small feat. The reason why it isn't a small feat, because there are crocodile in this pool. There are snakes in this pool. There are piranha in this pool. If you can jump in, and before he can get it out his mouth again, he heard a splash in the water. And 6 seconds later, flat, John came up on the other side, barely able to breathe, hands on his knees. Oh, you heard that song before? And he said, Farmer Jed said, oh man, son, that's a world record. You got from one end to the other in 6 seconds flat. You must want $1 million. John, he's still not able to breathe. He said, no, sir, I don't want $1 million. He said, okay, well, you don't want $1 million. You must want my estate, that luscious estate with the nice maize. John said, no, sir, I do not want your luscious estate with the unnecessary maize in the front yard. He said, well, hot dog, son, welcome to the family. You must want to marry my daughter, Ellie Mae. He said, sir, we live in a small town. We all know Ellie Mae. And trust me, nobody here wants to marry Ellie Mae. Farmer Jed said, watch your mouth, son. But if you don't want my $1 million, if you don't want my luscious estate, if you don't want Ellie Mae's hand in marriage, what do you want? He said, I want to know the name of the man that pushed me in that pool. Now, that story always gets a laugh, no matter where I say it, no matter how many times I say it. Mark, I think you've heard it at least 3 times, right? Yeah. So you just laugh because of peer pressure at this point, right? But all truths are parallel. What happens when somebody pushes you or your family in a pool, metaphorically speaking? Do y'all know what to do? I don't know. Do you already have a plan? I don't know. If you already have a plan, is it already outdated and obsolete? Let's see. All right. So here's the reality. Estate planning is not about you. It's about the people you love the most. The loved ones you know, whether when all this happens, you know, everybody gets told this. Who has a mother or a father that tells them it's all taken care of? When it happens, you'll know it's in some secret drawer somewhere. Right? But when it happens, they'll know if it really was taken care of. And so as I'm going through this presentation, y'all, I'm going to be doing different scenarios, but just keep in mind who needs your protection. Like in these scenarios, where would you fall? Would you be the husband? Would you be the son? Would you be the ex? Like where would you fall? Would you be the wife? Like the daughter? Where do you fall in this situation? Okay. So what will you learn today is how loved ones can cope with the unexpected from 2 different perspectives. See, I'm one of those people, you can't just go off of one side. You have to see both perspectives. I'm going to show you what happens in the scenario when they don't have plans and what happens when they do have everything planned out. Okay? All right. So no estate plan or document here and there. Like usually this is what people have. And y'all don't have to raise your hand, but you either don't have an estate plan or you having a document here and there, or it's outdated. If you've gotten your estate plan or trust or will done more than 5 years ago, tell me that things haven't changed in the last 5 years. Most likely something has changed. So that means your trust is now obsolete, right? But if you do it right, it's personalized, it's tailored, and it's a great estate plan. So here it is. Tell me if this sounds familiar, y'all. If you have an estate plan, it hasn't been updated in a long time, right? And whoever did it for you don't communicate with you regularly. You haven't spoken with them since y'all signed the documents, right? No inventory of assets to ensure that the loved ones you know can find your assets. Did y'all know that currently in the state of Florida, there's over 2 billion, that's billion with a B, of unclaimed assets? That's because when the people pass away, your family can't find your stuff. They don't know what all you had, right? But you want to have it inventoried, right? And no process to ensure that all assets will be retitled and redesignated to avoid probate. A lot of y'all have a trust that's like an empty red wagon. And we're going to go over that, all right? And I'm giving my, shoot, I think, was I at the tail end of red wagons? Do they still make red wagons for kids? Right? It's called a bit basket now? Or you can't call it a red wagon. It's a political, you can't even call it red anymore, can you? All right. So I believe all truths are parallel, everybody. Before you drink something, you need to know where the source of the drink is coming from. Before you eat something, you need to know where the source of the food is coming from. If you came last month, you heard Ivory Orr's great story, and now you're experiencing his food. Right? You know the source. The same goes for knowledge. You need to know the source of where your knowledge is coming from. We have an abundance of availability when it comes to information. You need to vet the source, just like you vet that stream of water to make sure it's not contaminated. Just like you vet that food, you smell it first to make sure you don't smell nothing crazy. You got to vet the knowledge. Here's about me. My name is Randolph Love III. Like I said, I am a chartered financial consultant. I am a chartered life underwriter. I am a chartered property casualty underwriter. I am a fellow Life Management Institute. My friends tell me I have more letters after my name than in my name. But what does that mean? It means that I went through the traditional means of learning these things, but what if I read a book about swimming for the past 5 years, but I never got in water? I don't even know if I can swim. I hope I can swim, but most likely I can't. Here's how I swim. I am a registered pre-licensing and continuing education provider with the Florida Department of Financial Services. I provide training and consulting to corporate, federal, state, and local governing agencies. I assist individuals and business owners with effective tax minimizing wealth strategies. And I have over 14 years of experience in the insurance and financial services industry. That's what I do on a Tuesday, right? But once I learned it and then I applied it, because knowledge is wrong. Knowledge is only potential power. Applied knowledge is power. So here's the disclaimer. I am not an attorney. And this is information, not advice. I'm going to say this is information. You're going to say not advice. This is information. Not advice. This is information. Not advice. Now I want to test your singing voices. This is information. Yeah. No lawsuits today. All right. So here's our first question of the night. What's better, a will or a trust? The first person answers this question right gets a gift. What's better, a will or trust? Trust. Anybody say anything different?
I said, what if it's a single person?
You say, what if?
What if a single person, no wife, no girlfriend, no children? You need a trust.
So what's better, a will or a trust? Who said it depends? That's the first. Now you started the convo. He said it. How do we? Who said? No, Mark, you didn't say it depends first. All right. The correct answer is it depends. I don't know, man. How do I do this, y'all?
Break it in half.
Oh, do we cut the baby in half? How to preach? Whoever say cut the baby in half, you don't get it, right? All right, so let's see. All right, we're going to do it like this. We got 2 books. Please tell people who are you and what do you do. This is the Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Amazing book. All right. Please tell people who are you and what do you do.
Good night, everyone. I'm Cecil Powell. Well, I have so much hobbies. I'm a welder by profession, but I'm a bus driver now, driving school bus. And when my wife introduced me to this business with Lorraine, but I'm getting to like it more and more every time I come to
It's growing on you.
Yeah. So, have a good night, everyone, and thanks for me to be here.
Hey, give it up for this man. What's your name again? Cecil. Give it up for Cecil. And I'm pretty sure about 66% of y'all already know who Lorraine is. Here you go, man. This is The Greatest Salesman in the World. I got you, Mark. Greatest Salesman by Og Mandino. One of my favorite books. I read it at least 4 times a year. He's a student of Napoleon Hill. It's a very powerful book. All right. So the correct answer is it depends. So do y'all know, do y'all get why it depends?
Yes.
Because just like he was saying, you might not need these things, right? So I'm going to introduce y'all to a fictional family, right? We're going to call them the Happy Family. Yeah. In today's age. Right? Here is the Happy Family, right? You got Mike. You got Marie. You got Andrew. You got Brock. You got Christy, right? Brock. Most families are mixed families. Blended families is what they call it. And y'all know what a blended family is, right? You got kids right over here, kids over here, then 2 people married. So kids married, right? Most families are blended, right? And Mike and Marie, they are just another blended family, right? Andrew was from Marie's first marriage, right? The first marriage. right? So here's the thing. This is what typically happens when blended families come together. Mike and Marie both came into the marriage with some savings. They both have joint checking accounts, and they're putting the money away toward their retirement. They both have life insurance, and they also have their own solo accounts, and Marie has inheritance in money from her parents and hers. So y'all know how that works. You know, you got your joint accounts, and then you keep your separate accounts, and that way, you know, if you were to go through divorce, you could be like, hey, this has always been mine, right? Yeah, again. In most instances, I typically see, which, you know, I do see it like this, but most instances, it's the wife's name on all the husband's accounts, and she has her own accounts, right? That's typically how it works, right? But in their situation, they both have their own separate accounts, and in her account, she got a big inheritance from her parents, and, you know, Mike don't bother her with that. You know, he's like, that's your money, right? But here's the X. Remember I told y'all that Marie was married to her college sweetheart, Zach. Every time you see a Zach, you know, just watch out for them Zachs, right? They were great together, right? But, you know, he was just, you know, he was fun, but he never could settle down, right? So they ended up having a beautiful son, Andrew, but they ended up getting divorced, right? And naturally, since they got a divorce, and Marie remarried, she brought Andrew over. So now Andrew lives with his half brother Brock, his half sister Christy, and his stepfather Mike, along with his mother, right? And once again, this isn't uncommon. All of us are either a part of a blended family or we know blended family people, right? This is very common information, all right? But like I said, when Zach got a divorce from Marie, guess what he did? He removed her as the beneficiary of his $1 million life insurance policy. And he named his minor son, Andrew, as the beneficiary. Yes or no? Should you name a minor as a beneficiary of a life insurance policy? Somebody said yes. Somebody said no. Somebody said it depends. Give me an it depends situation.
It depends on what age he is.
If he's a minor. Oh, so you're saying the closer he is to majority.
Right.
Okay, all right. So Mike Elliott said if he's about 17.
No.
All right. So what you saying, Mike? All right. So what's the answer, y'all? So should you or shouldn't you leave it to a minor? You say yes. Why do you say yes?
I say yes because, well, okay, as part of a credit union, I do it all the time. And so when it comes to it, whoever that minor, when they get older, of course they can do what they will. But I would say add maybe a will or trust that does, help the beneficiary.
So you don't add a little caveat to it, right? Now, so the answer is you should not name a minor as a direct beneficiary. You know why? Because a minor can't inherit money. And so when it comes to the minor, now they have to decide through probate court who is the guard, who is going to manage the money. And then can you control what this person that's managing the money does? No, you can't. All right. So everyday family, right? So here's the thing, y'all. All these scenarios, we're gonna go through it. This is gonna be a terrible experience for the happy family, right? Terrible. But I hope y'all get a sense of how I deal with these type of topics. I keep it humorous. I know it's serious. I don't want to offend nobody, but there's a certain way that I have to do this in order for it to stick for y'all, right? I have to make y'all laugh. I have to give you stories. And even though I'm telling jokes, I know that this is important, right? So let's go to sad day number 1. Y'all remember Zach, the party boy? He just turned 40, right? So what did he do for his 40th birthday? Who said skydiving? And his parachute got tangled up. Zach was a good man. Yeah. We were just having this conversation, like, when you watch the shows about homicide on like ID, when it's the men who are the killers, when it's the women, she has so much stress. You can see why she snapped. Retribution. He was just having fun in college, right? All right. But y'all remember that Andrew is the beneficiary of that $1 million. 15-year-old Andrew, y'all. Now check this out. When the last time you seen a teenage millionaire? It's a reason for that. Who is just like me that knew everything at 18? I knew everything. But in retrospect, did you? The only thing that saved you was limited resources. Imagine thinking you know everything with $1 million. He already thinking about this Lamborghini. And y'all see Marie right here. Right? So what Marie does, she comes to me and say, hey, this can't be legal. It can't be legal for somebody this young to have access to all this money. What can we do about it? All we can say is, now you got to go to probate court. Right? So before we get into probate, like getting into it, does anybody actually know what probate court is? I'm going to teach you. This is what probate court. Probate court is when a person dies on an asset still in their personal name. Probate court is the court process of transferring the ownership of those assets out of the person's deceased name and transferring the ownership of those assets to a person who is currently living. Dead people can't sign no papers. So when you die prior to making these arrangements, they have to find a way to create a mechanism in order for that transfer to be done because you didn't do it while you were alive. But what it also means is another reason people have to go to probate court, like in Marie's situation, is that a minor child cannot inherit money directly until they reach the age of adulthood at 18. So once again, the correct answer, should a minor child be named as a beneficiary to inherit money? Yes or no? No. I agree. All right. So now, do y'all think just because she the mama that the judge is just going to say okay? Marie has to go through a court process to determine who should be put in charge of the money until Andrew turns 18. The court does not have to pick Marie. Marie has to submit a credit report and criminal background check. She thinks it's invasive, but she has no choice. Because this judge, this stranger, that's who it is, doesn't know you, so they have to decide, in their opinion, if you're worthy of managing your son's money. What do they know about you? They don't know a lot, but you invited them into your situation by not doing what you needed to do. All right? But guess what? Zach got a brother, Samuel. And guess what Samuel say? He say, Judge, if you knew what Marie did in college, you wouldn't give her no $1 million. Right? No, but say, yeah, my brother had fun, but she had fun too. She's not worthy of managing this type of money. I'm his blood brother. I should manage this money for my nephew, Andrew, until he reached 18. And then, of course, Maria saying, no, I should manage it because I'm his legal guardian and it's my son. All right, another question, y'all. Who will the judge choose as Andrew's financial conservator? Marie or Samuel? Anybody got any other answer other than it depends? You say Marie. You don't know their status? It's the judge's decision. Yes. And that costs money, y'all. So we don't know. So, I mean, what industry are you in? I'm sorry, what's your name? Do you just got common sense, or are you in the industry? Okay. All right, so the next rule is if you've already won a gift, you can't answer again. I'm just joking. Let's see. What's that?
What did he say?
Oh, wait. So what he said was it's the judges that, like, we don't know. And also Lisa said it as well. Mm-hmm.
I do have a question though, for Marie and Samuel, the mother or the uncle. Do they have access to the money, or is that on hold until the kid's 18? Neither of them can touch the kid's money.
So what happened was, as soon as it triggered that a minor was going to inherit it, it put everything on hold.
Okay.
And then they had to go through probate.
So
And
neither of them can touch it at any time.
so you say it sounds like you're getting to a stalemate is better than anything. Like a stalemate. That's what you're thinking? Yes? That's what you're thinking. No, don't do no stalemate, y'all. Like, Oh yeah, I know y'all are. 67% of my audience are women. I know what's going on, right? But here's the answer, y'all. We don't know, right? And guess what? Let's say they figure it all out. Let's say that they determine who's going to manage the money, whether it's his uncle or his mother, until he becomes an adult. 18. Yo, do y'all see a problem of an 18-year-old? You got models and bottles. You got trips to the Dominican Republic. You got tigers and random encounters with Mike Tyson. Your 18-year-old son should never be in the same room with Mike Tyson. Right? You got no developed work ethic for when the money runs out. Right? Let's do something better, y'all. Is it okay if we try to do something better? Because remember I told you I'm showing y'all two different perspectives. That was the darkness of the night. That's the way a lot of y'all already have it set up. If you look at your qualified retirement account, some of y'all already got minors set up as the beneficiaries. You look at your checking accounts, your life. Some of y'all already got minors set up as beneficiaries, and you did not know that once it triggered that they were inheriting it, that all this would happen. And somebody that you didn't even want to touch the money now has access to it, right? All right, so here's what we're going to do different, right? We're going to name, this is an idea, y'all. Like this isn't, this is the first idea. Does anybody think that in order to fix this, just name, Zach should have just named his brother Samuel as the beneficiary and then let Samuel know to spend it on his son? Is that the best option?
No.
Okay. Anybody says yes?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Let's see.
Depends on the relationship.
Depends on the relationship. But let's talk about it. Samuel is not required to use the money for Andrew because it's Samuel's money. If you leave somebody money to take, don't never leave anybody money unless you want them to have it. Unencumbered, unrestricted. Because guess what? Once the money becomes Samuel's, what if Samuel goes through bankruptcy? What if Samuel gets sued? What if Samuel goes through a divorce? Now that money that was meant for Andrew is a part of Samuel's money because it was left directly to him and he took possession of it. Like John said, that might be the best option for some of you. We got siblings. Some of y'all got siblings y'all can't stand, and some of y'all got siblings y'all took baths together, ate peanut butter mayonnaise sandwich, shared a room by 4 more brothers with one home phone. There wasn't no more covers. Anybody heard that song? Trick Daddy. All right. And because it's Samuel's money, like I said, it's exposed to lawsuits, creditors, and a potential ex-spouse. What about idea number 2, y'all? So remember we said at the top of the hour, what's better, a will or a trust, right? What if instead what Zach does is Zach says, I'm going to sign a will that says I leave everything to Andrew. And if he's under 21, I put my brother Samuel in charge. That's it? That's it? Thumbs up? That's it? Where there's a will, there's a probate. Huh? Yes. What's the answer? No. It depends.
But what if Samuel spends the money before Zach turns 21?
Exactly. That's what we get into. Like, and once again, even if Samuel is a perfect man, he can't stop a lawsuit. He can't stop a divorce, theoretically speaking, right? He can't stop these things, right? So, but in this situation, Zach signs a will and says, I leave everything to Andrew. If he's under 21, I put Samuel in charge. Here's the thing. When that happens, it still has to go through probate. If all you have is a will, you still are going through probate. And all the will does is tell the judge what you want him to do. The judge don't have to do it. All right, so now this is, and I'm going to go a little deep in this because this is where most people plans is messed up, right? So here's how the ownership goes whenever somebody passes away intestate. And what intestate means is passes away without a will or a trust. All right. So your will does not control your assets. Did y'all know that? The first step is joint ownership. If somebody calls me after somebody passes away, do you think my first question is, can I see the will? My first question is, do they jointly own any other property? Because joint ownership supersedes wills. It supersedes it. All right. So joint ownership, then beneficiary designations. Because now we're going on tiers, y'all. So let's look at it. So joint ownership assets go to the surviving joint owner. So that means, let's say you own a house. Let's say it's a blended family. You got married. And usually when couples get married, they put their names on each other's title. But in your will, you have the property going to your son or daughter or whoever. In that situation, who's going to get the property? The spouse. We call it, in the financial services industry, we call it the last to die wins when you're dealing with blended families. Because most people don't have trust, most people don't have will, so the last to die wins. Whenever you pass away, all of your worldly possession goes to your closest surviving relatives. Do you know who your closest surviving relative is if you have children and you're married? Your spouse. It's not your children. So now you just passed away. No will, no trust. You got kids, but your spouse gets everything. What if your spouse passes away and never remarries? Who gets their stuff? Their kids. Not your kids. Their kids. Yes, because remember, it goes to the closest surviving relative. So if you're not married anymore, but you got kids, just because those your stepkids, they don't make them your, you don't have to, legally, you don't have to provide for them, right? Or let's go even deeper. What if she remarries? Now somebody you don't even know got your stuff. All right, so after you do the joint ownership, that's when you go to beneficiary designation. So once again, your will hasn't even come into question yet. They first looked at who owned it jointly with you, and whoever owned it jointly with you, they would get it. Then now they're looking at the beneficiary designations. And you say, all right, if, I name somebody as my beneficiary, I skip probate. Yes, you just successfully skip probate. But once again, if they're a minor, still going to probate. And if you had every intentions for somebody else to get the property, whoever's name as the beneficiary, because some people, your beneficiary is the person that you knew or was with when you started the account 20 years ago. And you ain't changed it since, right? So a lot of times you update your will, but if you don't update your beneficiary designations, that's what happens, right? And then, and only then, Anything left in your probate estate that passes pursuant to your will, if you have one, or state law if you don't. Assets are not immediately available and loved ones must go through probate court to get access. All right? Like I said, where there's a will, there's a probate. So y'all got that now. All right? Because it don't avoid probate, y'all. Everybody thinks all they need is a will, but you don't. You need more than that. All right? Did y'all know in Florida, by law, it takes a minimum of 3 months for probate? But on average, it takes 9 to 18 months for probate to go. And I think some of y'all have experienced even longer than that. If they have assets, who's paying the utilities? Who's paying the property taxes? Who's doing that? Usually it's the most responsible child that's keeping everything together while probate is going. And then you got the other kids. They don't want to pay nothing, but they don't want to sign nothing either. Right? You want to get all that taken care of, all right? Because, it's better to have it squared away, all right? So here's idea number 3, y'all. Zach establishes a trust that says, I leave everything to Andrew, and if he's under the age of 21, I put my brother Samuel in charge. Y'all, it sounds just like what he said in the will, didn't it? It seemed like it's exactly what he said in the will, right? But here's the thing, y'all. Before I get into this, let's explain what a trust is, y'all. Now, we're talking about revocable living trust. There are all kinds of trusts that do all kinds of things, but we're talking about tonight a revocable living trust that's used as a will substitute, okay? To avoid probate, right? Except it doesn't go through probate. That it's just like a will, but it doesn't go through probate. And this is what you would do if you have a trust. Any property that's jointly owned, you put the trust as your ownership, right? Beneficiaries, you make the trust the beneficiary of your other assets. All trust assets are immediately available for your loved ones. No court is required. Because a trust is private and it's recognized in all 50 states. Okay? Now, some people might. Have anybody ever heard that if you transfer the property from your name to a trust, then they can accelerate the loan and force you to have to give the house back or pay your mortgage? Some people think that. Some people are under the impression that when they change ownership, because you're changing ownership out of your personal name to the trust, a lot of people are under the impression that when you do that, it forces an acceleration of your loan, right? So the answer is, can you still maintain homestead status? Yes. As long as you are, you are the trustee, right? And the beneficiary. Can the mortgage company accelerate my loan? No. Right? Here's the reason why. And if y'all want to do some deeper research, it's called the Garn-St. Germain Depository Institution Act of 1982. It's a federal law that preempted state laws and enabled lenders to enforce due on sale clauses, mortgage contracts, and allowing them to demand full loan repayment upon property transfer. But here are the exclusions. The exclusions are transfers to a spouse or a child, divorce or legal separation, or trust. Placing property into certain trusts, such as a revocable living trust, does not violate the clause as long as the original borrower remains the beneficiary of the trust. All right? So y'all, this right here is the longest lesson. As I go, because I wanted to get this first part out so you get this is very important part, but you will see the lessons are going to go faster and faster, right? So always think of this in 3 buckets. First, whoever jointly owns the property, that's the person that's going to get it when you pass away, no matter what your will says. Then second, whoever is listed as the beneficiary gets it, no matter what your will says. And then and only then will it go to the trust, right? But you're going to make sure your trust is the owner. You're going to make sure your trust is the beneficiary. And you're going to make sure that you remain the beneficiary of that trust in order to keep it good. All right? Now, here's what a lot of people have. A lot of people have a trust. I'm going to say a lot of people. They have a trust. They signed the documents. But none of their assets are titled in their trust. Does that Is that good or bad, y'all? All truths are parallel, y'all. Having a trust without assigning the property and assets is like having an empty red wagon. That's your trust. Y'all can tell that I made that with AI. You see what a thing coming at? Artificial intelligence, artificial incompetence sometimes. But most people, this is how, if you have a trust, you don't have your assets set up into it, right? This is what you want. All trusts avoid probate only if you funded the trust. Now that's a term, it's called funded. Funded means retitling your property into the trust, all right? So lesson number 1, y'all, a review of all of your assets must be a part of your estate planning conversation. A document alone is not enough to protect you. You prefer to avoid the costly probate for your loved ones. If you prefer to avoid it, say yes. 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 All right, y'all. So these lessons about the flyby, right? Sad day number 2. The happy family goes on a ski trip, right? It's a beautiful trip. They decide to meet up with Marie's friend Dina, right? Out there in Denver. Look at the beautiful town. Everybody loves snow with a family friend, right? But then the fog descends. The fog descends down on them. And then Marie and Andrew collide and they end up unconscious. They completely unconscious. They incapacitated. Their friend Dina, she gets the news and she heads over, she reaches out to Marie's sister, Michelle, and she lets her know immediately. So Michelle, her sister, is booking flights. She flying all the way from Florida, but she's going to get there to look out for her sister and see what's going on, and also look out for her nieces and nephews, right? So until Michelle gets there, surely their friend Dina, the close friend, the one that they came to visit, surely she can go to this ski school and pick up Marie's kids for her and wait for Michelle to arrive, right?
Not authorized.
Not authorized, right? Dina is not legally nominated as a temporary guardian. What that means is, because as soon as they got into that accident and they went unconscious, the school was made aware too. And because Dina doesn't have any temporary guardianship documents, they have to send her away to the kids to family services. Now the kids have to wait with strangers in an unknown place until something gets figured out. Where they gonna figure it out? Probate. Right? It takes all of this, right? And this whole time while they're waiting for this to happen, the kids are in this unknown place. If you are a parent of young children, this is probably one of the biggest nightmares for you. For you not to be able to do anything and your kids are with strangers. Let's do something better, right? So let's try this out. Anybody ever heard of short-term guardianship? Got it. So in an emergency plan so that children are always with exactly who you want, no matter what, right? Now, what happens is you reach out to my company or, another company that does what I do. We help you put together these documents, and that way you can have the short-term guardian, long-term guardian. You can have all of these situations already documented to where it's your decision and nobody else's, right? And then what'll happen is, what's the use of having these documents if nobody has copies? Once you get these documents filled out, send them to the appropriate stakeholders. Make sure your primary care physician has it. Make sure the nearest emergency hospital has a copy of it, right? Some people even go as far as to file it downtown. So you want to make sure that if something happens, let's say if an emergency happens and your friend, whoever you nominated, doesn't have it, the hospital would have it, or they can pull it up on their phone, okay? Lesson number 2, Guardianship is equally about what happens in an emergency as it is about what happens in the long term. Who raises your kids? If you are a parent and you have short. Did I do a grammatical error? You should have an existing short-term and long-term plan for guardianship. Say yes. Yes. Exactly. All right. So sad day number 3, y'all. Remember, these lessons are going to keep going. Sad day number 3. Andrew makes a full recovery. But Marie's injuries, they linger. She's still unconscious. Right? So Mike is making, I said Andrew. Andrew been well the whole time. Mike, her husband, is making medical decisions now, right? Because if you're a husband, you make medical decisions for your wife. Yes? It depends. Because look at this. Meanwhile, her sister, her plane is landing at the local airport, y'all. And guess what? They not play sisters. They real sisters. Because guess what Michelle did? She called a doctor, and you know she want information, right? Guess what the doctor tell her? No. HIPAA. So you telling me my favorite sister, you're not telling me what's going on? Guess who pulling up to the hospital? Sister Soldier. Because guess what, y'all? Do y'all know what the law says when it comes to somebody being incapacitated, when it comes to medical decisions? The law says any interested person can make medical decisions for someone that's incapacitated when there's no estate plan in place. What that means, even if you're married, if somebody else comes up and says, I'm an interested party, now y'all got to make a decision by committee. And what happens when y'all reach an impasse? Probate. Probate, right? Once again, we keep coming back to this probate, right? And a lot of married couples don't know that. A lot of married couples don't know that they're not legally entitled to be the only one to make medical decisions for their incapacitated spouse. According to the law, any interested party, right? All right, but what about this? Now they're at the hospital. Now, Mike, he gonna do what he got to do, right? Hey, this is my wife, so we need some extra money. We ran out of the insurance is taking too long, but we need extra money to move her to this facility. Okay, that's right. Marie, she has money in this account. We can use this money to keep her going. What does sister say? My parents' inheritance money is in there. Yeah, they left it to Marie, but Mike shouldn't be the one managing my mama's money, right? In her mind, even though it went to her sister, that's still her parents' money. So now, not only is Michelle upset about is forcing Mike to make decisions with her about her spouse's medical stuff, but also you can't touch the money. So now, just like we said, they have to go to probate court. And now somebody who doesn't know you have to decide on who makes decisions for your spouse or your sibling. Somebody who doesn't know you decides who gets access to the money. Because when you reach out to the bank, you're going to say, hey, my spouse was just involved in a horrible accident. We need to get access to some money. They're going to say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Just send us the death certificate and we'll get right on it and get everything switched over. And you're going to say, oh, no, I'm sorry. You didn't hear me correctly. They didn't die. They're just incapacitated. They say, oh, that's when you find out you don't get rights until your spouse dies. So even if you're married and you've been married for decades, if you don't have a financial, well, we're going to get to that. All right. I like to jump ahead, y'all. So let's do something. Let's do something better for them. Right. So what happened was instead, before this trip, Marie reached out to me and she herself, not a probate judge, decided on who makes her medical decisions. She also decided on who gets access to the money. She gave it to Mike. That's her husband. Because guess what? even if they're happily married, you already know Marie and Michelle, maybe Mike and Marie, they had an argument. Then she told her sister about it. And even though Mike and Marie got over it, Michelle, they ain't got over it yet. Right? So now Marie can decide and know exactly what's happening. Plus, she gives copies to everyone, right? And now when it comes to the bills, Mike has access to the money that he needs to keep things going while he's taking care of her and the kids. All right? So lesson number 3 is the only person other than you who can make decisions is a probate judge. So don't let that happen, y'all. When to remove life support? Who makes that decision? If you don't have your living will, it's called a Florida healthcare directive. If you don't have a living will in place, who knows who makes the decision, right? And nobody knows exactly what you want because you never actually put it together. So let's do something different for them. Marie herself, not the probate judge, decided what happens to her life support. Once again, all you need is a Florida living will, also known as an advanced healthcare directive. We can help you set those things up. If you want control of your loved ones or assets, you must act before it's too late, right? So y'all, here's the next lesson. Even though Mike went through all that with his wife, even though Mike went through all that with his sister, he never got his stuff done. Because he passed away, right? And he died with $500,000 home and $500,000 in a money market account. That's $1 million, y'all. That's, he did pretty good for himself, right? Do y'all know what the estimated cost of probate court is?
Depends on how much money you get.
I'm gonna teach you. Everybody say depends. Hey, I got a lot of attorney friends, and when you go to their conferences, every answer to every question is. So check this out. Here are the costs of probate court. You got attorney's fees. You got executive fees, you got bond fees, you got court costs, you got appraisal fees, and the attorney fees alone are capped at 3%. So that means that $1 million is going to be $30,000. That's $30,000 going to the system, y'all. Now, this 3%, it's just the attorney fees alone. So, anybody know what a cul-de-sac is? I grew up on several cul-de-sacs, right? At least 3 of them. And it's a street that goes and it opens up like a big old circle and it got houses going around the circle. And I've lived at least several cul-de-sacs, and every cul-de-sac, there always eventually ends up being a cat, like a neighborhood cat that lays in the middle of the cul-de-sac. Neighborhood cat, right? In every cul-de-sac, eventually there's a neighborhood cat, and 99 out of 100 times, people are going to go around that cul-de-sac, they're going to see the cat in the middle, and they're going to avoid it. But then you got that one sociopath. They're going to see the cat, and they're going to do everything in their power to run that cat over. What happens when you go through probate court is they have to put your estate in the newspaper for at least 3 weeks. What happens when somebody sees your estate laying in the middle of the street? Even if they don't win, because here's the thing, I called him a sociopath for a reason. Once you go through all the due diligence, most likely the judge is going to determine that they didn't have any right to what they were claiming, right? But what happened unintentionally is there's only a 3% cap if it's uncontested. That one sociopath that contested the estate allowed this attorney to take their cap off. And now you ain't no telling what's going to happen. Whereas if it was in a trust, everything was private. All right. So, all of this, I said all that to say this. A trust is a beautiful thing. I have a lot more information that I can give if y'all set up an appointment. But here's what I want to do for y'all. And one last thing before I get to that. Anybody ever heard of a lifetime asset protection trust? Did you know that in your trust, you can have it set up to where the money that's going to your kids gets sent to their own individual lifetime asset protection trust? That's one of the biggest gifts you can give them. And it can only be done at that time, right? Now, there are different type of trusts, like I said, for different reasons. But if you want to have your kid have a lifetime asset protection for trust, it has to be done at this time, and then the money transfers to them and you give them that gift forever. All right, y'all. So that is my presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Question one.
I don't have a question, I just have a statement.
Yes, sir.
I'm proud of you that you got the handle outside of the wagon this time.
Everybody's building their plane. I come to you. He had his hand up.
The state it was based on the state of Florida.
Florida. Well, most states, but I'm talking specifically about Florida. They're talking about if it gets contested, that yes, sir, Florida. And it's just typically in most states. Any other questions?
Yes. So you have
I'm sorry.
The trust in place in a sad situation, the husband and the wife die. Who's holding the trust?
That's a good question, y'all. So her question was, you have a sad situation, both husband and wife die, who's holding the trust? All right. Here's the thing. When you first, so to answer your question, whoever the successor trustee is, that's the short answer. Here's the long answer. When you first get named as an executor or a trustee, you feel good. Like you were the responsible friend. You were the trusted friend. You were the friend that they could count on. 2 to 3 years from now, you're going to hate that job. Because all you doing is what your friend trusted you to do, or your family member trusted you to do, and you just made an enemy of everybody. Right? So to answer your question, whoever the successor trustee is takes care of everything, but there is no trust police. What do I mean by that? Your trustee is only as good as your trustee is. If you have a complex trust that requires this, that, the third, this, that, and the third, it's not just for avoiding probate, but it has a bunch of other stuff in place. Do you think that trustee is going to be able to keep up with all those mechanisms? No. Do you think that trustee is going to feel good about being isolated from all the rest of the family? Now, that being said, it's nothing wrong with naming an individual that you know to be your successor trustee. But I'm glad you asked that question, because I want y'all to know that there's a such thing known as a corporate trustee. A corporate trustee is a company that all they do is do whatever your trust say. Exactly. And they typically charge anywhere from 1% to 3% of whatever your assets valued at. But because they do this day in and day out, they usually know exactly what to do, and they're not going to get perturbed by somebody saying, nah, don't do that. I know that's what she said in her trust, but no, this is what she said. This is what we're doing. We're going to take our fee. It's over. So that's a good question. The successor trustee is the person, but there is no trust police. Some people choose to get corporate trustees. Yes, sir.
I want to comment on a couple things.
Okay.
That sad part happened to my now wife when she was 16 years old. Long story short, McDonald's, she sued McDonald's. They forced her to pick up a 50-pound bucket of pickles and mess up her back. So while she was in the hospital at 16 years old, she was awarded $50,000. Where the family bought new cars and everything because she was a minor off of her money. So uncles up in Philadelphia that owned 7 dry cleaning stores found out about it, and he put her in his will to give her $1 million plus all the food, all the stores. I've seen $1 million in my account for one day because the probate courts in Philadelphia challenged it. They flew her from Puerto Rico, was stationed in the Navy, to Orlando for the hearing. I saw it for one day. I went to the bank to take out some money. The lady looked around, called somebody. I said, what's going on? I said, yeah, my card ain't working outside. She said, sir, your account's been frozen. So the courts of Philadelphia froze that money until they can concoct some kind of thing. Now I find out how broke cities are.
Mm-hmm.
And they never gave her that money nor the store. We lost out on it. But
Terrible.
he did give his mom willed her $10,000. She got her money. But because there was so much involved, the stores and the money. But I saw $1 million for a day.
He saw $1 million for a day. That should be the name of your book. I saw $1 million for a day. And what he's saying is, like I said, when it goes through probate, everything is public. Everything is public. Any more questions? Janique.
Yes, my question was, if you establish guardianship, I'm thinking about the first example.
Mm-hmm.
If you establish guardianship to the young man who gotten the money from the dad, would that have somehow superseded him, or they would have still had to go through?
Are you saying if they put in writing who was? Oh yeah,
Guardian.
yeah, exactly.
Then the guardian would have been.
Most people don't do that though.
Okay.
Like for example, let's say, good to meet you by the way, man. Hey, most people say, if y'all went on vacation, who would watch your kids? Guess what would happen if your mama tried to take them to the hospital? She can take them there, but she can't make no decisions. She can't call no shots. And what if y'all in a secluded location? So for future reference, you would get that. All right, if I know my mama watches my kids on a regular basis, let's get this in writing. All right. Any more questions? I know y'all waiting for this dessert. All right, and just so y'all know, and we gonna take it, but I want to let y'all know y'all can start. Janelle, y'all can start grabbing y'all desserts now while we answer these questions, y'all. Nobody don't want to. Oh, this is some good information.
Real estate that's in the business name.
Okay.
How would we put that? Is that separate, a whole separate trust from the personal?
So when you say real estate is in a business name, who owns the business?
Like me.
All right. So, and you're the sole owner of the business.
I own the business. I have land that's in the business name, but it's not in the trust.
So
I would want it to be in the trust, so that it does.
So what you do if you own a business, because here's the thing, y'all, you want your trust to be the biggest secret in the world. You don't want people to know your trust exists until they have to know, right? So what you do is if you own a business, you make documents and you privately convey ownership to your trust. Because if you own a business and it's owned in your personal name, you get the same probate situation. But if you have documents where you privately convey ownership to your trust, you fix that situation. We help people with that. Any other questions? Oh, no, it depends on, now that depends. Are you a corporation or are you LLC? If you're an LLC, you're probably looking at Wyoming. If you're a corporation, you're probably looking at Delaware. There you go. All right, y'all. Any more questions?
Do you do home visits, or do we have to come to a brick and mortar office?
Oh, yeah. So, y'all, I'm 100% virtual, and I'm coming back to you. So what we do is 100% virtual, and we come to you. So when it comes down to getting the documents done, we get it done. So whether we do it digitally or we arrange for everything to get signed, but everything is done virtually. Yes, sir. And just so y'all know, if y'all want a discount, if you what do you do? Go to, what we'll do is I'll text y'all something that all you have to do is take a quick 5-minute test. It's like a quiz, and it lets me know exactly where you are. And then based off that information, if you do that within the next 24 hours, I'll give you a 30% discount on setting up your trust and doing everything for you, okay? All right. And I know you had a question back here, sir.
My question is just so that I can make sure that I understand correctly.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to healthcare and you go to the hospital, my wife is in a coma, her sister comes in, I'm there making decisions. It's possible that without this advance directive, her sister could try making decisions as well?
Yes, sir. If y'all reach an impasse and the doctors see that, they have to stop.
Wow.
If she's an interested party.
Because she's an interested party. All right.
This can, I'm covered.
Well, it depends. I assume. So what you want to do is the laws, because that when would you say y'all signed that document?
Last year.
Okay, so as long as it's HIPAA compliant. So if you want, just send it to me and I can check to see if it's HIPAA compliant. But yeah, as long as it's HIPAA compliant, it stands up to it. Any other questions? Hey y'all, how did that sweet potato pie taste? Ooh. Oh wait, so what he asked was, without an advanced healthcare directive, if I'm making decisions for my spouse that's unconscious, you're telling me her sister can come in and stop the show? The answer is yes. According to the law, any interested party can make those decisions. And once y'all reach an impasse, you have to go to probate court before they can proceed. Mm-hmm.
Define interested party.
That's the thing. What is it?
If it's a cousin,
I'm interested.
Anyone that says I'm interested.
If they're an interested party, now, you know, I'm pretty sure they must use some common sense, right? You can't just have, you know, somebody just, I'm interested. But if you're a family member, that's an easy threshold to meet.
Right.
This is my family. I'm interested. And she wouldn't want this. How do you know?
There are certain power of attorneys that can.
Yes, sir. Healthcare power of attorney and financial power of attorney. Even if you're married, if you do not have a healthcare and financial power of attorney in place, you're putting yourself at risk. Any other questions?
So, the question is, so power of attorneys can be set in place before a person is incapacitated.
Yeah, and that's the only time it can be set in place, beforehand.
Okay, so basically you can do it now just in case.
You should do it now, just in case. Until Lisa's point, let's say that you are an older couple, and your spouse gets dementia. They treat that spouse the same rights as a child. And that's when you have to elect the guardian ad litem. And now to make decisions, imagine being married to somebody for 40 years and they get dementia before you get these paperwork in place. And now you got to ask somebody else permission to do something for your spouse. That's what happens when you don't have it in place before they lose capacity. So somebody can go unconscious or somebody can lose capacity. They're still here, but legally they can't make decisions for themselves, just like a child. And that's when they put a guardian ad litem in place.
Different from a living trust.
Now,
Versus probate.
Oh yeah, so when you have a living trust in place that's properly funded, because remember, some people have trust that's like an empty red wagon. As long as you have a trust in place with your assets titled in the trust or assigned to the trust, depending on what state you're in, as long as you have that in place, then you're good. Any other questions?
Explain a lady bird deed
A-
and why they should have a lady bird deed in some circumstances.
Yes. A ladybird deed is known as an enhanced life estate. The reason why they call it an enhanced life estate is, unlike a typical traditional life estate, once you name somebody as a beneficiary, you can't make no more decisions without that beneficiary signing off on it. If it's a traditional life estate, right? We're not talking about ladybird deed yet. If it's a traditional life estate, as soon as you name it as a beneficiary, you can't borrow no money against that house. You can't sell it. You can't do anything of any note without getting that beneficiary permissions first. If you have a ladybird deed, also known as an enhanced life estate, it accomplishes the same thing as a traditional life estate, except you can make changes. You can sell that house. You can borrow against that house. You can switch out beneficiaries whenever you want. So what you do is you fill out the ladybird deed and then you assign it. Then you file it with the county. So, and then whenever your death certificate gets filed, that's when the transaction goes. Now, that being said, some people choose And once again, if your only asset is your house and there's no other stuff going on, this might be the end all be all, fix it for you. I got one child and I want this one child to inherit this property. Ladybird deed. What if you got 2 kids? What if you got, you said you can do, all right, so let's say you got a son and a daughter, and you just gave both the son and the daughter the house. When we gonna sell it? How much we gonna sell it for? This is mama favorite room. You better not change that cover.
Ladybird did, and I'm her,
You the sole beneficiary?
Well, myself and my brother, but I could take him out.
No, people. Here's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. See, and here's the thing. I don't disagree. I'm pretty sure. Like I say, I already know if and when it comes down, whatever my sister say. All right, but when the monarch and patriarch dies, people change. He might have been an easy pushover when mama was alive. But once now mama gone. Hey, this is good, y'all. Hey, keep the questions coming, y'all, because no, this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's better for y'all to first of all decide. All right, so we're talking about one house with 2 people, right? Hypothetically speaking, what do y'all plan on doing with it?
I don't know. We haven't talked about it.
Exactly. So let's say y'all decide to sell it.
He lives in California. I live 8 miles from home.
Hey, that don't mean nothing. We're your friends. We're your friends. We're your friends. We're your friends. But so what you do is you first got to decide what we're going to do with it. Let's say you decide we're going to sell it. All right, let's figure out the algorithm of how we're going to value it. Are we going to go to 2 or 3? It don't got to be nothing complicated. Are we going to go to 3 realtors and then figure out what they average and sell it? All right. I want the house, but you don't want the house, and the house is valued at $300,000. All right, here's your $350,000. Okay, you want to keep the house, but I don't want to keep the house. All right, you take out $100,000. All right, the house is worth $300,000. My half is $150,000. Your half is $150,000. Take out a mortgage for $150,000. Give me $150,000, and then you can do your thing. You got to have these. So to answer your question, you got to have these conversations beforehand and put it in writing. Most people don't ever have it in writing.
When it goes in writing, where does it go though? Does it go in the
Well, put it in the trust because now here's the thing. Just like I said, there's no trust police. So that's another thing. Not only do you not want to have two beneficiaries of the same property, you don't want 2 co-trustees. That's the equivalent of having no trustee. Do you see what I'm saying? There's no trust police. So if let's say you had a bunch of stuff going on, and it's something that's probably going to go on past probate, got assets and investments, you probably want to start investigating and looking into corporate trustees. But if it's just a simple house, right? Y'all need to decide, brother, do you want this house? All right, if you don't want it, I can buy you out now, or I can buy you out later. But let's have that conversation now. Because once it all happens, he don't want to pay and he don't want to sign nothing either. Now you in stalemate. Hey, who knows? Metaphorically speaking. Hey, I was trying to think of a good joke. Testing. She was just joking, everybody. She was just joking. Any more questions? How does the red velvet cake taste, y'all? Here's some claps. All right. Any more questions? Yes.
All right, I have an important question.
You're going to stump me. You're going to be the only person that stumps me. Okay, let's see.
The question that I have is, how do we retain your services and how often should we meet with you?
That's a great question. That's a great question. All right, so. Oh yeah. So here's, because you know me, I'm always. I don't be thinking to close the sale. You know, I just be thinking like, all right, let me help some people, right? But so All you have to do, I'm going to send out a link. All you have to do is take what we call the LESS test. It's the life strategy stress test. It takes less than 5 minutes, and I'm going to send it to you, or you can visit ShieldWolfStrong.com, or you can, I'm going to text you. Y'all, because I rarely send y'all text messages and emails, right? It's a rare occasion. All right, so I'm going to send you a rare text, all right, and then we're going to go from there. All right, y'all. Hey, Sierra, I forgot. I thought y'all was sitting here because y'all wanted the information. I realized y'all just wanted the raffles. Okay, that's right. So what I do is I have I call it the Life Strategy Academy, right? So we meet as a group once a month. So that's the first. We meet as a group once a month. We're not just talking about these type of strategies. We're talking about Medicare, Social Security. We talk about not just stuff about estate planning, but we talk about investing. We talk about all types of concepts, tax minimization, all of that. But as far as when it comes to it, we meet annually. If you are a part of our Life Strategy Academy, you can update this every year. So at least annually, you should be meeting with your whoever does your estate planning, and you want to lock it in with somebody who lets you update it for free. Because what happens 2 years from now, you change houses, you have new grandchildren, somebody passes away. Now you got to pay somebody another $5,000 or something to make a trust? No, you want to align yourself with somebody who does this, that'll let you update it every year at a very, very minimal cost. Thank you for that question. Any more? All right, so here's we about to do the raffle, y'all. Anybody like tea? Oh, Dr. Purcell.
When it comes to setting up a trust, if you're married, do you need the spouse to set the trust up? Or can you set it up on your own?
You can set it up on your own. It is recommended that if you're married, that your spouse is involved. But you can definitely set up a trust on your own. And there are people who set up multiple trusts. So what some married couples do is they set up like a group trust, but then a separate trust to where if their spouse remarries after they pass, then whoever the new spouse touched us in this. So there are different types of, AB trust and trust for the husband, trust for the wife. Maybe all of the business assets are in one trust. Maybe all of the personal assets are in another. But to answer your question, you do not need your spouse, but it is recommended.